requested the ceremony and the workshop that we did at Earthfire and other events that I've done with zoo animals. Because what I was told by Spirit basically it kind of grew out of my connection and respect for Chief Seattle, is that we need to change things, and we need to change things quickly. And it started with the whole concept of climate change. And we weren't going to be able to do that quickly enough just by making practical changes, because things are kind of accelerated. So what Spirit said was, but you can shift and change things more quickly if you bring in the old ancient component, shall we say, of ceremony and, energetic healing. And so the work that we did at Earthfire is the intention, both with the people and with the animals, because the animals are reaching out towards us. They are willing to work with us despite everything. It's totally amazing. Despite everything that has happened, everything that we've done to our world and to them, they still love unconditionally and are willing to meet us more than halfway to turn this around. And so it's kind of the 100th monkey concept, if you will. If you get like-minded people and animals together, not just our group, but other groups, you can start to shift things. The consciousness can shift. People can become more aware.
I agree with you on that, except for one thing that I realized is that I used to believe, personally, that the U.S. treated animals way better than other countries did. And you know what I learned? On a personal level of having pets, maybe. But on an industrial level, absolutely not. We are just as bad here as in other countries. It's just as bad. Really, I was so shocked to find that out. I'm so horrified how we treat animals. I can barely stand it.
I won't argue with you. It's why I try to support places and local farmers that do organic, sustainable, and humane methods, because it's not just an ethical, moral choice, but it's also a choice for our own health, because the industrialization of our food sources, plant or animal, are being decimated by the industry, and our health is suffering as a result.
Absolutely.
It's why both our animals and people's rates of cancer are on the rise, and why children are becoming, a much bigger percentage of that. It's terrible. We're doing it to ourselves.
Would you share a little bit about the shelter project? What happened with the animals when there was a burglary? Just share a little bit about that. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, you're talking about the story from my book?
Yes.
So I was contacted by someone who had learned of this tragedy and asked to, if I could assist. And the shelter situation, they took in semi-feral, and abandoned cats, and they also had birds and reptiles. And someone had broken in, or several someones, and had not only stolen things, but had ruthlessly hurt some of the animals there by kicking them, or in some cases, actually stomping on them. And there were animals that were dead and animals that were injured. And the outpouring of support from the community was tremendous. When I arrived there with another Reiki practitioner, it was a constant stream of people, and the media had been there, and people were coming in and giving donations. And I was that outpouring of love and support had helped to heal, and the prayers that people had given had helped to heal some of the energy there. It was not, the energy in the place was not as bad as I had thought that it would be, which was good. However, some of the animals were still suffering from trauma, both emotional and physical. And so we offered energetic support through Reiki and shamanism, and I worked for a while with different groups, and the response was very positive.
So who calls you as a practitioner? Your book says Tales of a Healer, Animals, Reiki, and Shamanism. But when people call you for services, what are they calling you for? Like, give us some examples, different applications.
Most of my clients are individuals who have animal companions, usually dogs or cats, but I have worked with other animals. And so they're calling because my primary candidate, shall we say, is usually an elderly animal who's needing support, for quality of life. There's been some health challenges. That's usually my principal client, shall we say. But I work with animals that have been adopted and have had previously, shall we say, less than stellar, experiences, puppy mills or abuse situations, abandonment, starvation. And, the people are wanting help assisting the animal in adjusting and letting go, basically, of whatever the trauma might have been. Sometimes there's behavioral issues. So I approach it more from a communication and energy standpoint, and sometimes I can offer them guidance on, some practical things that they can do to shift things that way. So those are the two main categories: illness and emotional issues.
Try to explain this to us. Mm-hmm. When you do a prayer for the animals, if they're hurting or they're in pain or if there's been a traumatic event, are they shamanic prayers you do? Are they a specific kind of prayers? Are they done in the language of South America or what?
I use prayer on a daily basis to kind of set up my day and receive support from whatever comes my way. And those particular prayers are in the Native American tradition, not one specific tradition, however, but it's a Native American concept. When I work in ceremony, I work like doing a despacho or setting up a workshop weekend. I'm working within the Peruvian shamanic framework, and my allies would be Amaru, Chokuchinchai, Condor Apatin, three major organizing principles, as well as basically you're calling upon for assistance, you're calling upon your allies in this world, whether they be the physical world or the spirit world. And so mountains, for example, are spirit allies, individual. They're called the Apus in Peruvian shamanism. And we ask for assistance from the Apu, a specific one, perhaps in our neighborhood or around the world, to intercede and to work with us. So I'm not, for example, the source, shall we say, of all the energy and all the power. I'm simply the conduit, the hollow bone. The power, if you will, or the healing comes from the world around us in dialogue with whomever it is that is for animal or person. So it's not dissimilar, shall we say, from Reiki, except that in Reiki it's much more, I guess the request, shall we say, is much more general. It's not specific, and it's not as structured as the practice of shamanism.
Got it. Talk to us a little bit about your take on the chopping up and harpooning of dolphins in Japan and turning them into meat. There's really an uproar about this, and there was a blog that I had responded to about this subject, and I said, the only thing I have to say about this is that no animal in the world needs to suffer in order to die. That is unnecessary. Mm-hmm. That's my final word. This is unnecessary, that they have to suffer